Both of these interpretations are conservative.
The apparent
Neither of
meaning
them
for
is
it,
like
the apparent
I.
is what Andrew says is a lady. What are you trying to do here?
Like neither. Look, there are
It's really obvious.
Like there are two thread interpretations here. Like I support neither of them. My view is the progressive view that being gay is fine, having gay sex is fine. Like and Andre and Andrew are like opposing two thread interpretations against each other. And like Andrew, like for some reason.
Okay. I just want you to get like theologically, academically smashed on this. I mean, you are so stupid when it comes to this. It is so clearly the case that the Old Testament is consistent with the New. We don't believe there's it is not like disconnected, okay? The two have been consistent. No, you don't. It is a prohibition against same-sex relationships on the female side and the male side.
It's just a fractally wrong statement, a biblically literate statement.
To promote the woke agenda.
I'm willing to say that there's a valid interpretation. That's whatever Andrew wants, because you can interpret this shit a bajillion different ways.
Yeah,
so,
sure.
But guess what, Andrew?
At that point,
we don't care if the book says it.
Means anything, and we can interpret it, Dr. Stoops, to mean we're all God.
Yeah, but just look, consider somebody else coming to you and they have a random book that says a bunch of shit, and they're like, "Well, I think this is God."
Yeah,
and you're just like, "Well, I don't care that your book says that."
Well, look, all I'm saying is that I don't think when it says men sticking their penis in another man's anus is a sin, that means that New York pizza is really good. I don't think that. I think that these things have some clarity.
Maybe it does. Maybe it doesn't.
Women are supposed to be held on a pedestal. You think that it was okay for women to be lickety pot? That's what y'all saying? Come on now. Like, Andrew is right on this one.
It's just a stupid thing to be to try to act like that what's going on when you have Jesus saying, for this reason, a man left his parents and went with a woman. All these different, just clear modeling over and over and over again. You never see a same-sex relationship being promoted. You never see God in his place. You never see God saying, "Oh yeah, dudes, go get. I led you by providence to another man's door. You two be together, and I'm gonna sanction. This is a great."
More than Jesus mentions sexually active homosexual people being saved. Like that's only the text. It's just that you are too blind to see it because you can't even see this.
And Jesus has a beloved disciple,
and they like they lie together.
No, I mean, seriously, that's how far it's gone, Noel. It's like the
motivation.
Andrew,
you make room for it. That's why.
Yeah, but nobody can. Look, I for one don't give a shit.
Really? Soli is saying he doesn't care about it at all. But if it were the case,
maybe the Bible is against gay people.
But here's what
Noel,
let me just say this. When I tell you that nothing has changed, and you're like, "Oh, well, Paul said," you're doing the exact same thing.
That's the wrong approach. That's the wrong approach.
That's what I'm telling you.
I know, but what you just said is the wrong approach. It's not that that I'm making way for it because I say, "Well, Paul said." No, I say, "Well, God said," and let's follow the continuity of what God said. That's all I'm saying. No. Well, here's the real
commandment. Then he's preaching the exact same thing that all the prophets.
Noel, it's real simple. Let's just review right out the gate. Ready? Do we sacrifice animals? Yes or no? You're gonna say no. Why?
There's no temple.
Okay, fine. There's no temple. There's some reason.
That's why there's no sacrifice in the Levitical priesthood. There's no Levitical priesthood.
Noel, my point is that's a change. Okay?
No, Andrew.
Yes, it is. No.
No,
Yes,
Andrew.
Do we sacrifice animals? Yes or no? No. Just answer this question.
You have to allow me to.
I
said no. I gave you your answer, so you should allow me to elaborate.
When the Ten Commandments change,
I will allow you to be honest right out the gate. Do we sacrifice?
No. I said no.
Okay, so can you just answer this question? Don't say anything other than please just answer this question. Is it the case that the practices that we do, okay, as Christians, that we do, have those changed?
But
What? Okay.
Just say
Yes,
or no.
Christians.
Thank you.
Yes, Christians. Yes, because they're not educated.
No, don't do that. Don't do
Andrew.
that. Fine, don't do that. Fine.
You said I can expound. You said I can expound.
Let me fix it because of what you just did. People who follow Christ, people, I don't care, you want to call them Christians, whatever you want to do, people who are following what God is having them do, is it the case that they are sacrificing animals right now? Are they?
Right now, no.
No.
Okay, so can I go?
So hold on. So Noel, so here's
Oh gosh, you trying to box me and I see. Go ahead.
So all I want you to know that I'm making one very simple point here, and it's just
Right now, they're not doing it. Correct.
I'm making a simple point here, and the reason I'm doing that is to get the freaking door open so we can get past this crazy mindset that people have that anything that God established in the Old Testament must be happening right now. No, that is not correct. There are things that God has established that have changed. That clearly is the case. Now we can argue about what those things are. I'm fine with that. I just wanted to get that freaking door open so we quit doing let's not have.
So can I, Andrew?
Yeah, go ahead.
So in the Levitical priesthood, when they talk about the law in Deuteronomy or Numbers or Leviticus, it tells you what has to happen in order for there to be a sacrifice. There has to be a temple, there has to be a Levitical priesthood established, and you have to do it in the land. There's so many laws and so many provisions that have to be accomplished in order for it to get done. The temple was destroyed. So when the temple was destroyed, you can't follow the law. That doesn't necessarily mean that the law is done away with, or that it's not. If there was a temple that was established, then the sacrifices will occur. They will still be happening to this day. Even when the kingdom comes back, there's going to be a reestablishment of the Levitical priesthood, and that's in Ezekiel. But the Christians don't read that. So I say all that to say, no, it has not changed. And after Christ died, when James called to the forefront and had a conversation with Paul, he said, go do a sacrifice and take the Nazarene vow, so that you can show people that you are following the law and the prophets and you're not teaching anything different. And he did it with 2 other gentlemen. So when you say that they're not sacrificing anymore, it's not because God said don't do it. It's because the provisions in order to do it are not established anymore. That's what it is. But the law has not changed.
Yeah, so
the temple was established, and if there was a Levitical priesthood, to this day, they should be doing sacrifices.
But you ever wonder about the fact that the Bible is so full of errors and stupidities that means that none of this is relevant to our lives at all because it's all fucking fairy tale bullshit and retarded? You ever think about that? You ever ponder that, like, 100% hundreds of errors in the fucking Bible and all the fucking stupid shit about raping women and fucking burning people alive means that this is probably not from God? It's just a bunch of Bronze Age retards writing down their books. You ever think, like, maybe it's just a bunch of fucking retarded fairy tales? Every culture in human history came up with a mythology. No, ancient Sumerians had a mythology. Ancient fucking Assyrians had a mythology. Ancient fucking Polynesians had a mythology. Every fucking group of people has a fucking stupid mythology. And it's probably fucking stupid. And especially given that it literally contradicts itself. Like, literally over and over contradicts itself. And then also has brutal, barbaric shit in it, where you're taking women that you fucking captured in war and taking them for your wives and burning them alive. Yeah, maybe this is not from God, guys. Maybe God is real and speaks to all of us when we meditate on the better angels of our nature and we think about, like, what would be good. And we, like, think about the platonic realm. We're able to tap into some higher spiritual truths. Maybe that's true. But do you think maybe a fucking Bronze Age text full of Bronze Age science and Bronze Age morality isn't what God wants for the final fucking way that humans should interact with each other?
Yeah, we got Pyro.
Don't listen to this.
We got Pyro.
You know who did oh my God, shut up, all you clowns. Don't listen to this Jew, everyone. Go back to arguing.
Civilization has been established. It's good to Monday morning quarterback.
Sam, you know who did ponder those things? Liberal Christians.
Oh my
And
God.
also some church fathers, like Origen and Gregory of Nyssa, who said that if you interpret all of these brutal parts of the Old Testament literally, he said, I quote, a concept worthy of God could not be preserved.
Oh
So,
my
like, yeah,
Y'all
preachers have
think
been pondering
God is this, like, marshmallow sweet person who's just like, oh, everything is great.
Oh, heck.
No, we just think that like people of the past were dumb and barbaric, and that reflects in their interpretation of cosmology and deism. That we barbaric and you actually see it become more civilized over time in the writings.
Yeah, Zolini, you need to be waterboarded.
Oh, fuck you.
To show his demonic nature.
We have this really weird notion. We have this really weird notion about God. Like, we expect that if there is a God, that he be sane. That he be sane. So I mean, that's sort of where the rub is with us. You know.
Do we have Muslims up on the stage?
That people are deviant.
I mean, you would be like, you have this like weird expectation, that God would be love, and he would bless the righteous and the unrighteous. Like all these strange ideas that came out of nowhere. It's like
that.
Right.
Isn't it kind of weird how, like, in Greece, it's like, oh, the warlike people worship a war god. Oh, the people who are like the scholars worship a wisdom god. Oh, wow.
It can't be that we have a passion for evil and love justice defying. It can't be that. It can't be that stuff. That's what it is. Right.
You have a justification? That's the first time I'm hearing about it. Please present us with a justification.
Justified. It can't be that. It can't be that we're disgusting.
You have a justification?
Right. No. I said it can't be that we're disgusting and the acts that we're participating in, and then we try to justify it. We
Are you talking about gay people right now?
We retrofit these justifications.
It seems that the yuckiness.
I don't think there's nothing that needs a justification about it. You're the one coming up to people and going, hey, you can't do that. And they're like, why not? And you're like, because it's bad.
And then we try to condemn God for coming down on it. It's pretty weird. So
I don't believe God. Me and Sam don't think there is a God who's like,
No,
you get all butter about this.
I had a question.
Y'all gotta be glad of God.
I demand that whoever moved me down apologize right now.
Do you have any Muslims on the stage?
I don't think guys. I don't think that God. I don't think God would send bears to maul children. And if he
I wanted them children was bad as hell, Sam.
if he did send bears to maul children, then he's like a fucking psycho.
Everybody can get it, Sam. Everybody.
And
Yeah, but it is just a cartoonish nonsense tale.
If I found out my brother, who I love, sent bears to kill children, I'd be like, "The fuck is wrong with you? You fucking like it would be the most
Sam, we agree.
in the world."
Don't disrespect the man of
Sam,
God.
us true Christians agree with that.
Oh my gosh.
Don't disrespect the man of God.
Yeah, because God doesn't have any authority. He's not able to adjudicate things on his own. And he's like your brother. I mean, it's just, bro.
If God exists, he gave you a moral compass which you trust, and then you use that moral compass to then decide that this book is not from him, and that other book is from
Andrew's not a Christian, so he ignores Romans 2, where he talks about the moral compass that people have. He just accepts like the satanic, like trad views. It's like,
Waterboarding.
as I said, satanic. Like he just proved my point. He keeps proving my point.
Just to be clear, Sam, God, it couldn't be the case that God is perfect and omniscient and knows things and actually understands what is truly moral, and we're wrong. That can't be right? That can't be right.
It's like saying, wait, it's exactly what the book says it couldn't be right, Sam? The stupid book that you're criticizing and saying is stupid and written by morons with the broad name, and it couldn't be that it's actually right.
But
Sam,
the point is,
didn't you think of that? Didn't you think of maybe it's actually true?
all you're doing, Sully, you're just saying, couldn't it just be this is all made up and obviously false? Obviously, if I just could do that back and forth.
It stood the test of time.
I fully as retarded that they would say
Those
that.
darn it.
But say that, just say, yeah, okay, cool. Then it just couldn't be right that God is morally perfect, knows all things, and actually has his pulse, his finger on the pulse of what is moral, way better than you do. So your adjudication that
You guys
You have to leave.
It's just wild. How are you, like,
reprobate?
You guys have to think that you have some moral conclusion that's morally accurate. Because if you think that you have no ability to evaluate right from wrong yourself, then you can't tell whether the Bible is good or evil because you don't know. You can't tell whether it's a satanic book or a good book. So you have to have some ability that you think you have some sense of what is right and wrong built into you.
Yeah, exactly. Andrew, like Sandra,
And then use that sense that you trust, then go, oh, the bears slaughtering children is bad. It's like so cartoonishly bad.
And that's never been the claim. Of course, we can adjudicate right and wrong because God gave us the ability to do so.
And then you use that to evaluate that the Bible's evil.
Yeah, and then we can basically look at human civilization and go, wow, none of these people got God correct. Like, they were all wrong.
There you go. That's some great ball watching, as they call it. Unbelievable. Look here.
Andrew, look, I think if there's actually a God that, like, nobody's figured it out yet, okay? That's what
You can obviously have moral adjudications or rules or judgments that are wrong, and people can change them and warp them. That is absolutely the case. So I'm not saying you coming and saying, well, God's clearly just this immoral character that these terrible things. It's like, that's not going to do much. Obviously, we're quite aware that people don't like the things that God has said. That is not going to be moving.
Yeah, but people also have spoken as gods themselves or on behalf of gods throughout all of, like, human history. And we know that, like, most of the time they're doing that. It's just a fabrication and it's propaganda and so on.
I agree.
Right? Yeah. But so if people do that in general, then I'm going to be pretty skeptical about a book from 2,000 years ago or longer.
That's the
skepticism. And it's going to be people who are these people are actually getting the true, message from God. Why would I think of that? Why would I think that?
Speaks of people like you, Sully. Not everybody will make it to the kingdom of heaven. So you just living your prophecy early.
It's fine if the Bible says that, because the thing we're discussing is whether or not to take it seriously. Right? You're just always in the background assuming that it's to be taken seriously.
Right? Take it seriously.
So everything you're saying loops back to, but the Bible says X. Okay.
It just speaks to the prophecy of what's going to happen in the future. So that's why Andrew gets frustrated with it. I don't get frustrated with it. It's like reprobates. It is what it is.
Well, no, I agree that's absolutely what's going on, Noel. But let me just say that solely from his perspective, it's basically begging the question / very convenient that it's just that, well, if they don't believe, well, then they're just evil. Right?
Yeah, exactly. And that's actually another common feature. Like, look at modern religions like Scientology. That you can just see that baked into it, where it's like, the anti-Scientology people, they're like corrupted. Like they're like going to try to harm you, basically, like all this other shit, right? And it's insularity. It's like, dogmatic religious institutions promote insularity. It's like by design, That's kind of how they survive.
But that's Sully. That's everything. That's everything that's worth having. You're going to insulate. Period. It's like when it comes to money. If you know a way to make more money, you insulate yourself with the people you want to share with.
Look, if you have a system of values that you want to say, like, look, I'm going to basically like lead by example with this, and I'm going to show you that this is the way, or something like that. Okay, I'm all good with that. Like, lead by example and show me the way. Go ahead. But like, as far as being insular and dogmatic about what a book says, that's not exactly the same kind of thing.
This approach is also like very unbiblical, showing how these fundies and threads like have nothing to do with true Christianity. Because in the New Testament it is said several times in different books that you should do good works so that the unbelievers will see that and praise the Lord in heaven. So actually you shouldn't insulate. You should show to others how moral you are. But if all you do is uphold these weird evil views, and then when everyone else criticizes you using their God-given moral compass mentioned in Romans 2, and you just hand wave it as I don't need to think about anything, this is just reprobate talk, I'll insulate myself and keep doing the evil medieval traditions. That's not a Christian approach at all.
Well, you're supposed to be the salt of the earth. So you're supposed to have the conversation, and if they don't want to listen, you dust off your boots and you keep walking. That's from Christ himself. So it's Andrew's having the conversation. If you guys are like, no, the only thing Andrew hasn't done is dust off his boots and walked away. But
when I say point is that for any of these things,
it doesn't mean evil. It just leave them to their own demise.
For any of these things, the the point of bringing up this critique of insularity is to say, like, you know, your system of beliefs comes with a bunch of, like Andrew said, convenient sort of excuses for what to do when it comes up short, right? And the point is that, like, you know, if you want me to take this book seriously, okay, you got to give me, like, some reasons to take it seriously. You can't just be like, well, if you're not going to take it seriously, then I'm leaving, you know?
That's for your Sully. That's for you to take your path. All we're supposed to do is plant the seed.
But
it's for you to take on the path and learn. And if you don't want to learn, that's on. When I say learn, I'm not trying to say it like that.
For all my looking into it, like,
it's also not
like
biblical because there's a verse that says, "Be prepared to give a defense of your."
That's First Peter. It's in my.
I want to let you guys know some things about the Bible. You guys might not know this about the Bible, but it gets Ahaziah's age. It says it's age 42 in Chronicles, but it says 22 in Kings about when he first became king. They have two different ages for that. Ahaziah is a literal contradiction. P and not P. You have on Leviticus. It says that rabbits chew their cud, but they don't chew their cud. That's a false thing about rabbits. It says that in Leviticus also that grasshoppers have 4 legs, but they don't. They have 6. It says in in Acts and in Matthew, they give different accounts of Judas' death. In Genesis, it gives different accounts of who sold Joseph into slavery. In different parts of Genesis, it gives different accounts of when plants versus man, which order they come in. 2 different people killed Goliath in different parts of the Bible. Joseph's father is Heli in one part of the Bible, and Jacob in another part of the Bible.
Not Joseph's father.
You also have Synoptics. The Synoptics place the crucifixion on Nisan 15. The Synoptics place the crucifixion on Nisan 15, which is one day, and then John portrays Jesus dying on Nisan 14, which is a different day. They get different answers to when Jesus died. The book contradicts itself.
It's almost as if
wait.
And it says pi equals 3, by the way. It says pi equals 3.
It's not from God. It's almost
allow me to ask
as humans are writing this book and not God writing it or even inspiring it. Why would God inspire a book to be full of contradictions? Why would he do that?
Allow me to ask.
It's almost like multiple people are telling the same story from different perspectives.
There you go.
Right?
You believe that God was like, all right, here, I want you to write the age of these kings and queens, and you believe that's how the Bible was written. The only thing that is God's word, when they're talking about scripture, they're talking about thus saith the Lord. They're talking about the Lord.
All right, well, here's the thing you're not.
They're not talking about the story of how something.
Here's the thing you're not considering. When you have 2 different accounts of when Jesus died, one saying Nisan 14, one saying 15, it means one of them is wrong. Unless
No, I want to do that. That's how y'all
guys, we know my rules about interruptions. Don't do it. You guys know I don't like being interrupted, so stop doing it. So, if you have 2 different dates for when Jesus died, then one of them is wrong. So there is a wrong thing in the Bible. So then, if that can be true of factual matters, like when things happened, why can't that also be true of moral things? Why, if there can be one thing that's true and one thing that's false in the Bible about factual things, why can't it be true of moral things?
I can just quickly respond to that. So, Sam, if you have multiple people recounting the same story from a different perspective, like eyewitnesses, you would expect there to be differences. So, for instance, if multiple people witness a car crash, one person's going to say, hey, a red car. Another person says it's going to be a crimson or, I don't know, a purple car. Yes. But that's expected given that there are multiple eyewitnesses counting.
Wrong, right? But one of them's wrong, right?
Helicopter, right? No, not necessarily. Not necessarily. It's not going to be the case that one of them is wrong. It doesn't necessarily follow one of them is wrong. It could be the
one
case
says
that
it happens on one date, and someone says it happens on a different date.
You've got no interruptions. I don't know why you keep interrupting. So it doesn't necessarily follow that they're wrong. Okay, it could be that one person viewed the car from in the sunlight. It appeared red. Another person viewed the car from a different angle in which it appeared, kind of a shade of like purplish or like dark, some different color. So it doesn't necessarily mean that the people are wrong.
But hold on. And then you're assuming that Jesus died at like midnight that like one person saw him dying right before midnight, the other one said right after midnight, but that's not. The account is that he died during the day, so it's not going to be like this like thing where it's different perspectives. If I say Daniel came in my house on the 30th, and someone else says he came on the fucking 31st, and it's not at night, it's not at midnight, then there's no one of us is wrong about when he came in my house.
People get dates wrong all the time, like
which means that there is one of them is wrong. Which means that if they can be errors in the Bible, then there should be moral errors in the Bible.
But you're saying it as if God was like, hey, sit down and write this as I tell you this story. It didn't. That's not how it was written. The only thing that was written like that was the Mosaic Law. Nothing else was written like that. When it says, thus saith the Lord, that is the word of God.
I seem to get missing my basic point, which is if one of them is right and one of them is wrong about which day of Nisan he died, he was crucified on, if one of them is wrong, then some other prophet could be wrong about when it says some moral claim, because the Bible already is allowing there to be errors. Because one of these guys didn't get the date right.
And law, when you say on or about a particular day, it doesn't mean that you're not going to...
Guys, you have to relax. I'll just say one thing really quick. This is something that's very easy to verify, even with, given that we now have like large language models, but you could manually do it as well, and it would take you about 10 minutes, but if you wanted to use a large language model, it would take you about 15 seconds. So within the Synoptic Gospels, which is to say Matthew, Mark, and Luke, Jesus dies on the 15th day of the very first month of the Jewish year, which is called Nisan. In John's Gospel, Jesus dies when the Paschal or Passover lambs are being slain, which is to say that he dies on the 14th day of the first month of the Jewish calendar, Nisan. Now, what is Nisan? Well, as I've said, it's the very first month. It falls between March and April. So you have two accounts. It is not the case that Jesus, unless Jesus dies twice, Jesus couldn't have died both on the 15th day and the 14th day at the same time and in the same sense. And this is something that anyone can verify, and someone is wrong there in one of these accounts, right? So you can throw away this idea that you can count on the Bible to be accurate on anything if you can't even count on it. Don't interrupt me, I'll bring you back up. I'm sorry, but it couldn't be the case that Jesus dies on the 15th day and the 14th day, right? Someone is wrong. There's a problem there, right? For certain flavors of biblical literalists or inerrantists, right? Someone like an Andrew is going to have a very difficult time making sense of there being a factual, historical error within the text. Right? It's not going to apply to people that think errors are okay in the text, right? Of course, it's not going to fucking apply to people like that. But for dogmatic people, people that take the book seriously, right, that think it's historical, it's going to be a problem. Right? And those are the people that the argument is targeted at. And it's that simple. I'll bring you back up.
I just wanted to mention the Bible does not claim itself to be inerrant. Thank you.
Even if it did, it wouldn't help because you could just question that.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. People are just speaking as if the Bible thinks about itself and those things are done.
Right, Caleb.
Yeah, it's like, oh, God never said it. God's not a liar because he said he's not a liar.
No.
Wait, I wanted to say something else. Move down. So,
point out albedo. So I don't know why you're saying.
Yeah, it's a terrible point.
Yeah, somebody called me.
Andrew, how come when I said that, I guess I have to have a man's voice. When I said it, you were like, no, you don't say that.
Stop speaking. Stop speaking. I muted everybody. Does anyone want to address this error within the Bible? If that's the case,
I want to address it.
But it doesn't apply to you. You think that errors in the Bible are not problematic, bro.
Yes,
So why would you address the problem?
It applies to me.
This is a question where someone takes it literally.
It does apply to me because you said there's a dichotomy between people who take it seriously and people who don't. People who take it historically and people who don't.
No, that's not what he said. He said whether there's any errors.
You want to address this idea that Jesus dies on 2 different days Okay, do you disagree that the Bible describes two different dates? Do you disagree with that?
Yeah,
Or do you disagree?
a different way of keeping time, which we've already talked about this before. But I'm going to go into that. Obviously, that's going to be a larger study. We're talking about different calendars and ways of keeping time.
But it's the same. But Andrew, it's the same calendar, man. It says just one day off in the same month.
Crucifixion. We're talking. No, the way that they're so. Okay, so if we really want to do this, it's going to take a long time, but we can do this.
Not Andrew.
It is.
You can do your own look, brother. You can do your own investigation. You can ask. Did you look at a large model from what it says?
Well, I'm not necessarily looking at a large lane, but definitely.
Okay, so you opened the text yourself and read the synoptic passages.
I'm aware of that. Yeah, John.
Okay, what is happening there then?
Well, I just said that it's going to take a larger study. I mean, if you want to do a Bible study on it, we can, but this isn't going to be a quick thing. It's not going. We're not going to.
Andrew, just say this, okay? I'll straw man what I think is the fundamentalist Christian position to harmonize those two things. If Jesus is to be the Passover sacrifice, then he's got to die on the day that Jews celebrate Passover. The Passover sacrifice is sacrificed in the late evening of the 14th as you enter into the 15th. That's all you have to say, and that solves that. Now, Daniel is still right. Somebody is saying, now, is that the answer about why they get the dates wrong? Different? I don't know, but that's a plausible answer. So just say that.
Well, no, if we're going to be saying that there's something wrong being said, I don't think theological intent that's being expressed, unless it's done in a deceptive way, is wrong. I don't think that's the way to characterize it. It can be understood. It's not going to be a literal date reference where there's a tension there. That's obviously that would be if what's being implied is, okay, there's two different dates that Jesus was crucified on. Yeah, that would be wrong, factually wrong. But I don't think that that's what's going on here. I think there are theological motivations, and I don't think they're deceptive or wrong for why somebody would describe something occurring in a certain way. I don't think that that's an issue. If it was meant to be saying there's two different physical dates, we're actually saying Christ was crucified at two different times, that would be wrong, and that would be a problem. But the long and the short of it is, I don't think that's what's happening here. I understand.
Let's go. Like we can take text, some historical and allegorize.
Sorry, Bob. No. So that's not correct, and that certainly wouldn't apply to things where when things are being said about ways of practice and how we treat one another and do things. It doesn't allow for all the lenience that you want to provide. But yeah, I'm just saying that obviously there can be theological intent for what's being expressed there, and we'd have to do a side by side and then go into a Bible study on it. But I'm more concerned about the point that you're making, Daniel, which is that if there's going to be people who take these things literally, and then they can be like, okay, this is going to be a problem for them, because then they look at certain passages, they're going to be in tension, and they have to reconcile that. But if you don't take it serious, or if you think it's fine that there's errors in the Bible, that's somehow an okay position. That is not okay position. I would be more concerned if that's August's position, that it's okay to say that there are actual factual errors in the scripture about anything, because obviously I do agree that opens up the door to a whole bunch of issues. You could have moral doctrinal claims being made that are absolutely wrong. You can have certain things being said over here.
You can agree with me about that. I take that position.
Andrew, there's a problem, I think. Let me just be a little bit more clear. Is it your view that the Synoptic Gospels and the Gospel of John agree on the date when Jesus dies? Is that your view? Or do you have a different view?
The date is going to be the same. I don't know that it's.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think that they're trying to express. I don't think that it's the case that both of them are trying to express different dates. That's what I'm saying. So, but obviously, I get why people are saying what you're saying here, because it's been an issue. This has been something that people have said for a long time. And I've done a fair treatment on this before, but like I said, I'm not in a position right now to go into this whole thing. But we can do it. If you want to do it.
Is it possible to have a Passover meal without a lamb?
No.
If Jesus is preparation of the Passover, when the Paschal lambs are being slain, how could he be eating a Passover meal? How is that possible? He's described as being killed on the day of the preparation of the Passover, which is when the lambs are being slain. He couldn't have died on Passover if that's the case. That's a problem, dude. And it's not just my opinion. I don't care one way or the other. I have a good explanation as to why that, at least satisfies me, as to why these dates are different. But the fact of the matter is that anyone can verify this fact themselves within just a few moments using a large language model, or just opening the Bible and going side by side and we're taking a pencil. It will take you 15 minutes. Your position is untenable with regard to the text being perfectly inerrant. There's an error historically in it. Jesus dies on the 14th day of the first month of the Jewish calendar Nisan in John's Gospel. Right? And on a different fucking day than the others.
There are two thread explanations that do some gymnastical interpretation of the text to make it like to keep the literal meaning, but say that there isn't a contradiction. But I like that Andrew didn't go with either of them, but went with the allegorization of like he needed to be the lamb approach. That like so that one of these two is like making an allegorical point and not a date point.
Yeah, waterboarded.
You don't need to reveal your like demonic, character every, quip.
It's just so deviant and lax that it's just gotten so off track. It's horrific. But yeah, so I again, Daniel, we're just gonna have to break it out, brother. We're gonna have to talk about what we're talking about. I mean, we're gonna have to get into what the Passover lamb is. First of all, it doesn't explicitly say the date's Passover lamb, but you can get into if they did celebrate, they prepared Passover. That's true. And of course, you'd say there's a lamb there. That's fine. If we say, hey, go ahead, Celine. By all means, buddy.
So I just fact checked what Daniel said. Daniel said anybody can just fact check this in 10 seconds.
Please stop letting that troll up at the moment.
You can't.
Daniel, what are you? Oh my God.
Yeah. Go ahead, Andrew. Did you want to finish?
No, it's fine.
I want to make sure you were able to say what you want to say, because I feel like I went on and on.
I think if you really want to get into this, we can. But once we get to the bottom of it, Daniel, I don't want to ever hear you bring it up again, because it's going to be a long treatment, right? So if you want to do that, we can. But we're going to have to make some time for it. I don't know if people want to have Bible study, but it's going to be a long.
But I want to know your view of that at least.
My view is
Jesus is described as dying on the same day in the Synoptics as well as John. That's your view?
well, I'm open to a couple different ways of reconciling it, but I'm just saying.
What is your
bottom line is there's not an error. That's the bottom line.
Okay.
So
what is your view?
Well, I just said I'm open to a couple different.
Do you think Jesus died on the 14th or the 15th?
I don't take it. I'm not committed to either.
Would he have died on the 14th and the 15th?
No, obviously not.
Okay. So are you agnostic about when he died?
Yeah, I'm pretty much agnostic. I'm not going to take a stance on it. But
you think that John and Mark, Luke, and Matthew agree on the date when he died?
That's one way to do it. But you just have to. It would just depend on how you want to interpret the description or what's being intended. Maybe in John or something like that. But we'd have to pull this up and go over it. So I don't. That's not going to be an easy answer. You're kind of asking something that's got there's a lot of.
That's fair.
There's a lot of stuff that needs to be.
That's fair. That's fair.
Yeah. But I appreciate it. You bring stuff up like this that I think is interesting. But I feel like we went over this one before, but maybe we need to do a more thorough treatment so you and I both remember that we've gotten to a shared conclusion on
It's
this.
not a matter of opinion about the day when someone dies.
No, that's not it. Obviously, Christians can still. Here's my point. There's inerrantists. There's people who are going to be. They're either going to be inerrantists or they hold the description infallible, and they're going to have understandings of how these things are reconciled. And right. And so the point is that we need to go over the plausibility of it and just see if we can come to a shared understanding as to what it is that most likely is being done here. But it's going to take a little work.
If that's not an error, then I don't know what would be considered an error. So, sorry.
Well,
there couldn't be an error. It just seems to me at that point.
Error, it has to be coupled with intent. So it's not going to be. So if somebody intends to, it's like Tom Rabbit's whole, could Jesus chart, which is very concerning. But it's going to have to do with whether if you can fail to do something, it has to do with your intention to do something and not being able to, fall through with it without failing, right? There's going to be an intent involved. So the argument is going to be what is intended. That is going to be one thing that needs, or at least an argument needs to be contended with, is what's intended by the text in these certain descriptions of what's going on. And obviously there's a theological backdrop that John has that the other ones do not have. It's clear. And so I'm just saying there's more going on here than just straightforwardly, Jesus died on the 14th in one text and in the other it's the 15th. I don't think that's a fair treatment. Obviously, on Christianity, there's going to be some massive theological import into what Jesus is doing. Massive. Okay, it's the Son of God, God Himself in the flesh, dying on the cross. That's a pretty intense thing. And so all of the different narratives that are culminating in this act there's going to be a ton of stuff going on. And so John is giving a depiction that I think that when compared to the other Gospels, you're going to have to keep that in mind and not just do some kind of rigid wooden, 14th, 15th issue. I think that there's some stuff that needs to be looked at. So that's the best I got for you right now, buddy. But I think we can definitely pick it up and down.
Andrew, no, hypothetically, purely hypothetically, there were contradictions in the Bible. I had this question of, if that was true, would it then be open that there could be moral contradictions, as in
of course. I think that's a problem. Yeah, I do think that. I think that people should be very leery of just doing this thing that Zelini's done, or that a lot of people have done, where they're just like, it's just like whatever. And Zelini basically, I think he has said, I don't know, maybe he's walked it back, but he's fine with just saying, Christianity really isn't some kind of thing that people need. They don't have to follow Christ. But you can be an atheist and you're fine. It doesn't matter. So he's gotten to the point where he's completely detached from any kind of anchoring in.
Yeah, we us liberal Christians have detached totally from these medieval, traditions that they pulled out and established as official teachings, and we're following Jesus, who did not mention any belief in God as being necessary.
No, you don't even have to. No, Jesus didn't say anything. Who cares? It's atheism, brother. And you don't need to be affirming.
We care. We follow Jesus. You follow some medieval like mumbo jumbo that contradicts. You follow some medieval mumbo jumbo that contradicts what Jesus preached, and you're mocking the teachings of Jesus all the time in these sorts of quips.
Zelini, maybe Jesus didn't say anything. What are you talking about?
I don't care about maybe, and you're epistemologically illiterate comments that you make all the time. These debate bros, these Phil bros here have taught you these words possibly and maybe, and it could be, and you weasel them in every sentence, with this illusion that you're making some smart point, and then they're gonna leave you off the hook for anything that you say. That's just bullshit.
You're quite fine with coming up with all these gymnastic, retarded interpretations of prohibitions on homosexuality, etc. But then when it comes to me saying,
who's following the dumb mistranslations made up by medieval people? You don't have any right to be obnoxious.
Hold on, Delaney. Then when it comes to just saying, well, maybe Jesus didn't say the things that he said either. Maybe it's not, hey, don't do these 7 things. Maybe, how about this? Maybe Jesus didn't exist. And maybe none of that stuff.
Repeating them.
Obviously, you can be as retarded. You can be as
and he keeps like over talking me.
Because I'm not done speaking.
I'm pretty sure Lindy interrupted him, man. So it's just let Andrew finish.
Yeah.
He previously interrupted me. I couldn't get any sentence out.
That's not correct. If you go back, you can see. It's just how it works. But the fact is yeah, maybe it's fine. You could just say that none of that stuff occurred. It's very interesting and very convenient that when it comes to the passages that are explicit on things that Jesus said or Paul said or any, we'll just go to this real wild and lax and completely lenient interpretation so far out of this world. It's really unrealistic. It's retarded. But we're going to say that that's true. But then when it comes down to these certain things, Jesus said, do these 7 things for you to be saved. Then he's like, that's what I follow. I follow that. Those 7 things that Jesus said. But when it comes to these other things, I don't know. I mean, maybe this is talking about the price of gas at the Astro station in Portland. Maybe that's what it's talking about. It's not saying that men shouldn't lie with men, because it's unnatural. It's talking about gas prices in China. That's what it's talking about. Yeah, I love the retarded, completely detached interpretations that you're willing to do. But then when it comes to things that you want to hold dear, you want to hold to be specific, you're going to say, these are real. No. Jesus said this. And you're going to have some retarded way of explaining this to me. But it is always the case that this is what you're doing. And I just get tired of it, man.
Lenny, you're on mute if you don't. I don't know if you know that. I don't know. Daniel, just out of curiosity, why do you think that the Nissan 14 versus 15 is more brutal than the 2 Goliath deaths, or Ahaziah's age, 2 of those, or Joseph's? Like, it feels like that's not just like, there's the one country. It feels like it's riddled with them. It's like a lot of these things all throughout the text. I don't know why that one should be given special significance over the other ones. It's just a book that looks very contradictory. And then if it's contradictory, then, maybe there's moral contradictions and therefore you can't trust it. Because one of them has to be, if it says be merciful to people, but then it says also don't be merciful to them, one of those uses wrong. And then, you just use your judgment to decide which of them is wrong.
Yeah, Ben, you need to tighten up your bandana, brother. Just like Rambo, Ben. You know what I'm talking about? They drew first blood. You ever seen that? Okay, go ahead, Ben.
No, I was just curious. Sam, do you believe that Christianity in its modern iteration is compatible with democracy and the values of the United States?
Not the direction I was hoping you were going, Ben. That's okay.
Fair enough. Do you think Judaism?
Yeah.
Do you think Islam is?
Probably not.
Okay, that's it. Is that the end of the argument? To some degree. Like the gentleman that you had on stage earlier, a couple of hours ago, wants to have all of these sort of semantic word games of different parts of scripture and different parts of this and different parts of that. And those are conversations to have. And I, quite frankly, love going in those rooms and having those conversations. I really do. But at the end of the day, like, isn't that what it's all about? Isn't there a practicality aspect to this?
Practicality as in, like, I should criticize one, not the other, because one is compatible with my civilization, the other is not.
No, I'm just meaning that I think there's room to be an atheist. I'm a Christian. I think there's room to be an atheist in the United States. I think there's room to be a Christian in the United States. I think there's room to be a Jew in the United States. I'm not seeing how Islam in the form that it's currently being held is necessarily compatible with the values of the United States. I just don't see it.
Yeah, I'm literally currently dating a Muslim girl, but she's a very liberal Muslim. She's a Shia Ismaili.
Oh, wait. You're dating Zabu?
Yeah.
Damn.
I'm literally living with her today. Anyway, what's it called? When it comes to Islam, like, I'm just shocked that 1 in 4 Muslims want to kill what I see as innocent people and my friends, so gays and apostates. And I just think that is something needs to be done.
That's called not them.
It's just like we shouldn't have large amounts of Muslim immigration. If it does happen, it should be very vetted by their social media based on like what are they posting? Are they posting woohoo Bernie Sanders, or are they posting woohoo fucking I don't know, Ibn Taymiyyah or something? And I don't think we really in the West take seriously how crazy it is that 1 in 4 Muslims want to kill innocent people. And I didn't really reckon with it that much until today. Like I just had an emotional catharsis that like literally 1 in 4 Muslims want to murder my friends. And that's like it's like that's so crazy.
But respectfully, Sam, and I'm here.
That's literally. That's 400 million. So 400 million people. Yeah, go ahead, Ben, sir.
No, it's all good. It's all good. I don't want to hide Mike. I'm trying to do dishes and be productive this evening, anyways. But so when you were talking to the gentleman earlier, I think that was, and I understand it's an emotional topic. I understand that it's a very, very emotional topic. With that being said, it was like, I feel like that was kind of the point that was skipped over. It was like, he's like something to the effect of, well, I just, it's, it may not be popular to the masses, but, this is the way that Muslims believe or something to that effect. And I'm like, okay, well, that is what begs the question. And it's like how do you square the square peg in the round hole of human rights when it comes to Islam? I feel like Christianity does a pretty good job of it. I just don't see it. Again, I don't mean to keep repeating myself. I just don't see it with Islam.
Well, I think Christianity has the amazing blessing of the figure of Christ, who's obviously a very peaceful and loving man. And Judaism has like thousands of years of really good debaters coming up with loopholes for why they don't have to do the crazy shit that the book says that they have to do. But the Islamic tradition does not really have that. And I mean, there are Muslim strains like Zabu's strain that are very, very chill, but they're just not very popular. They're just not like, I mean, Zeleny will point to the Hanafis, but the Hanafis are not as chill as Zabu's Islam. Zabu's Islam is fully compatible with the West in every sense of the word. I don't think that the typical Hanafi Muslim is. I mean, I'd have to look at exactly what the average Hanafi thinks, but yeah.
I mean, Sam, one second. Here's the very good thought experiment that I did with Zeleny and Sam Ben Zeleny. I think you guys will agree with this. Is that what if Europe becomes a Muslim majority country, hypothetically, or America? Would you want that, right? And I think both of you have clearly said, no, you wouldn't want to live in a Muslim majority piece of land, right? And that's it. That's just a very simple thought experiment that explains, the situation here, right? So Zeleny's going to be the IC. Okay.
I'm sorry, but did you just say a Muslim majority peaceful land?
On that general question, my views, I don't care.
Wait, Zeleny, you want to live in a Muslim majority Europe or a Muslim majority America?
I don't care. Like I can go now to Bosnia and be in a Muslim majority country, and it's very chill.
But you want to go to Saudi Arabia? Zeleny, would you want to go to Saudi Arabia or like?
In 40 to 50 years, when the Wasatiyya Islam becomes the ruling version, then yeah, sure.
Sam, would you want to be like an?
And would you want to go to Christian majority Africa?
Actually, I think Christianity now is a Christian majority. And I don't see it. Like, I wouldn't want to go there for economic opportunity, not like for my, like, I wouldn't be afraid for my life, right? But I wouldn't want to go there because
you wouldn't be?
If in a Christian, like in Ethiopia, for example, which is a Christian majority, no, I wouldn't be afraid to go.
Achieving Ethiopia is also Orientals. Pick one where the majority is like a bunch of Protestants who think you're an idol worshiper.
Like which country? Like I'm not really familiar with like the African countries. I don't know. Like Nigeria, for example, it's dangerous. Look at the Christians; they're massively being persecuted, right? So I mean, maybe Africa. Sorry.
Some of them can't like just ask Ade. You can't even talk about it.
But Albedo, you wouldn't want to. What do you want? Like America to be like a Muslim majority country, or Sam or Albedo? What do you want?
I don't care as long as they're peaceful.
Okay, right.
Which I think most people generally are. Otherwise, civilization would just fall apart.
Sam, can you invite Aga up? Is that possible? I can't invite him.
Why are you keep moving him down? I thought a little too jumping the gun on that one, but it's
Sorry.
I can't do it because I just up doing too much. I guess I have to do it.
Sam, would you care if America becomes like a Muslim majority, or you wouldn't care about that?
Would I care?
Yeah, would you care about that?
I mean, in current form, that would be fucking horrifying.
Yeah, that would be horrifying, right?
Even becoming like a large minority would be horrifying. But if it became something chiller, I wouldn't care.
You can make a Fatimid America. It's like all just Ismailis.
You know, by this time, I was watching a debate between Daniel Kikuchu and Andrew Wilson, and of course Daniel Kikuchu's like crazy, right? But he says, you know, when we come to the majority, we're coming for all of you, right, with the swords and stuff like that. Maybe he was being like, she said, facetious or what have you, but maybe he meant it, right? And he actually said it in the debate. And Jay Dyer later on like commented that, oh, the mask came off, right? Like that's there are people who really want that, right? Like Daniel Kikuchu, right? They want America to be like a Muslim majority and, you know, flip the tables on like anyone who's not a Muslim, right?
Why are we entertaining these omnipotent fantasies by these people when the recent Israel-Gaza war has shown that 1.9 billion Muslims in this world have no effective political power whatsoever?
That's a good point. It's like, oh, you have these like, you know, like handful of these politically oriented, you know, Salafis and Hanbalis, you know, and they're like threatening, oh, we're gonna take over the West, and like Israel is like, you know, massacring Muslims by tens of thousands, like in Gaza, and like they can do shit, like Muslims can't like go there and like defend Gaza, and they would like take, and we should be like worried that Kikuchu is gonna take over the West. It's like ridiculous.
Because remember, I mean, how can they fight? If they fight Israel, they're fighting America, right? They're weak, right? Like they can't fight the United States or Europe. Like,
how do you think they're going to become strong and like conquer America?
Or like a massive immigration, maybe something like immigration and embedding themselves in their culture through the numbers. Right?
Yeah, but there are more Catholic Latinos are coming into the U.S.
Maybe some from the inside, right?
So good luck with that.
Also, this like notion of the demographic jihad is like totally invented by right-wing people in the West, because the religious groups and traditions to whom this concept is being ascribed to are explicitly like they have the opposite views of this. So like under Hanbali Salafi Islam, you have the opposite religious commandment in the ethical system of their view. And that's like to migrate away from sinful territories into the territories that are the closest to what they think is the true Sharia. Like that's the commandment of Hijrah. It's like one of the core commandments for these like extreme fundis.
You are absolutely
they are commanded to go away from the West into the most like Sharia-like society. And like people in the West, like these like Islamophobes just invented. Like, oh, they want to do demographic jihad. Who? Like the fundis who have the opposite, like, commandment? Yeah. And like the liberal Muslims, you know, who want to come here to enjoy like the benefits of a secular
development. The problem with that analysis is that, by the way, Zlani, what you said is absolutely correct in Islamic jurisprudence that there has to be a hijrah from Dar al-Kufr to Dar al-Islam, right? But the problem with that is I don't think like Muslims take that view seriously now because they want to spread Islam still, right? And so they like I'm imagining Muslims saying, yeah, they might do demographic, they might ignore that Islamic jurisprudence, right? Because they want to spread Islam in the West, and that's a perfect way to do it from the inside, right? Through demographic.
That's what the commandment is about. You're supposed to
just support that commandment because they want to spread it, right? So
so we're like now inventing some like modernist liberal version of funding Islam that like wants funding Islam but ignores the core commandments of funding Islam.
It seems that that's what they're doing. They're massively immigrating, right? It seems like maybe that's what they.
Yeah, because like, the people who are immigrating are people who are not fundis and they don't care about this bullshit. They're coming to the West because they like Western culture and money. Like they don't give a fuck about like establishing Hanbali Salafi like ideas about Sharia.